Welcome on, bienvenue, welcome to the United Nations of Horror. We're your hosts, Mark and Jason. Hi, Jason.
Hey, how's it going, Mark?
Pretty good, and I have to say, I am stoked for this episode. Really stoked. This is our final episode on the Tremors series, unless another film comes out or we
Right.
decide to go back to the TV series. I don't know. But we are covering Tremor 7, also called Shrieker Island. And this was, so finishing off. We've done four now. We covered 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and now we get to Shrieker Island, the last in the franchise. So it's also called Tremor 7, and also I think sometimes it's called Tremors Island Fury, which was came out in 2020 as a VOD kind of thing, directed by the same director who did 5 and 6, Don Michael Paul, and of course we got Burt Gummer back. Of course we have.
Yes, thank
Um,
goodness. Burt is he's really the hero of the whole franchise in a weird way.
yeah,
Like, I mean, it starts out with Kevin Bacon's character, but as the series goes on, it's all Burt, you know.
you know what?
Especially
I'm starting to feel like you can leave your John McClanes, you can leave your. I want Burt Gummer. Burt
I you
Gummer's
know what?
the legend.
I agree with you, Mark. I agree. It's got to be Burt, man.
It's Burt Gummer. And I have to tell you, we got some magnificent quotes in this film, which we will probably spit out in a totally unfunny way as we go. But it occurred to me as we're watching this, it goes, wow, just listening to some of these quotes, I think we may have just doubled the number of T-shirt logos we're going to put on UNH T-shirts when we finally start selling them.
Right.
There were some great quotes. Now, we won't get to spoilers yet because there is a spoiler in this movie that we do not want to reveal. If you're in any way keen to watch this film without spoilers, we urge you to go watch it because it's a good movie. It's a really, really fun movie. So it's a real step up for number 6 for sure. And it's just a great, fun film. And Michael Gross, Burt Gummer is terrific. And in fact, I like the whole cast. I thought there was a few skin jobs here and there, but essentially some of the major players I really, really liked in this.
Yeah, I did too.
So switch off. Well, we'll say when we get into spoilers, right? But switch off now. But
Yeah.
you liked it, right?
Yeah, oh, definitely. Before we get into that real quickly, just let me mention, before we get to the show, the main event, I should say, just a reminder that coming up, we're going to be doing a Twitchy stream. I believe we mentioned this last week, and Mark, you posted about that actually, about the film
I
we will
did.
be.
Yes, it's this film
Yes,
you dug out as a public domain film called The Hitchhiker,
indeed.
which I have not seen, but I'm really looking forward to. And it's kind of horror adjacent. It's more a thriller drama than a horror, but it sounds like it could be quite a lot of fun and perfect kind of fodder for one of our Twitchy episodes, Twitchy streams. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So, if you can, please join us. The link is on our Facebook group. And I will also probably put a link in the show notes as well, so people can join us if they want. But yeah, please come and join us. It's definitely thriller, noir, horror, all that, and it's remastered, so everyone will get the
yeah,
nice
good fun.
picture.
I mean, this is going to date this podcast rapidly, right? But
It will.
the 4th of February, Saturday. Now we usually do it. I think is it 5 o'clock Eastern time,
I
something
believe
like.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I put the details are on our group,
Yeah.
which we always say, and I'm just frantically looking up because I want to get it
Well,
exactly right. But it's
and
facebook.com/groups/UN of Horror is our Facebook.
yes.
And
Yeah.
maybe
And
I don't think I've pinned it, but I'll try and pin that to the top now. Actually,
oh, thank
so
you. Yeah, and we're just trying to come up with a time for when everyone can join, and because we've got listeners, of course, like yourself, Mark, you're in the UK, I'm in the US, and in Georgia of all places. So, and we have listeners from all over. We appreciate all of you guys, but hopefully this is a time that kind of works for everybody, somewhere
yeah,
sort of in the middle. It's kind of
yeah.
late for you guys in the UK, though. I know.
It's not that late. I mean, it's 10 p.m. UK time.
Yeah.
We usually start half an hour early with like trailers and stuff, which reminds me, I meant to post you at least one trailer I talked about, and I just remembered.
Oh, cool.
We start half an hour early, so you know it's going on, and get your drinks ready, get your popcorn, whatever you like.
Yes.
So it's 10 p.m. UK time, 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Pacific. So that is, and it's probably an hour and a half, I'd say, this film, right? It's something.
I believe
It's
so.
not
Yeah.
that long. So
Yeah.
it's not even if you watch it in the UK, can still be in bed by midnight if you want to be, right?
There you go. Yeah.
So that's fine. That's fine. But it's a really difficult to come up with a time slot that suits the two main areas, which is Europe and the US. But we are aware of the rest of the world, but there's only so much you can do.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
only something like this with a public event like this. In addition, we have got another one planned that's kind of similar to The Hitchhiker. I'm not going to say what it is, but if you watch the trailers, you might be able to guess. Let's put it that way. All right?
There you go. There you
Right.
go.
So, what the next one will be? So, yeah, that is coming up. I'm glad you mentioned it. I completely forgot.
Yeah, just a quick note. Also, you can visit our website for more info, www.unhpodcast.com. You can download the show directly. Just to note that the audio version of the podcast always drops first, and the video version that comes on YouTube is typically a few days behind that. So,
Yeah.
and whatever version you're listening to, we really appreciate all of our listeners, and thank you guys for the feedback. Mark, you already mentioned the Facebook group. So again, that URL is facebook.com/group/UN of Horror. Please come and join us. We have a great group, really good conversations about horror movies and just film in general. So yeah, please come and join us.
You don't know what you're up against. I got this handled. You got a genetically enhanced giant carnivorous worm with tunneling abilities loose on your private island. This species should be left to die.
What exactly are we talking about?
Shriekers.
We have 48 hours to stop these things.
Let's go, Ram boy.
Burt Gummer is a freaking legend.
Let's go.
Count me in.
She's culling the weakest from the herd first.
Crap, that means I'm next.
Welcome to the party, Burt. This has to end here. This is it. Lead, follow, or get out of my way.
I'll lead.
That's not an option.
We should probably put up the spoiler warning, right?
Well, we went the spoilers towards the back end, so but
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
let's say spoilers from. But other than we really like this film, right?
Yeah.
Spoilers from this point on. Anything's on the table from this point on. Yeah. So
Yeah, we
you've
don't-
been warned.
Yeah, we don't want people to have it spoiled. And again, like you say, Mark, we encourage people to watch this film, and especially if you are invested in the previous films. But I really think that you do have to watch them kind of chronologically, just because you sort of get that character in Burt specifically built up. He's sort of a side character in the first two films, and then as it goes on, he just really becomes the hero of this entire thing, which has been a really cool ride.
Yes. Really digging Michael Gross. He's nearly 75 now. So he's pushing on a bit, but
Yeah.
I really like it. In fact, to get into the film, the first time we see him in this, he's looks like a proper old man. He's got
He
long
does.
hair, beard. He's got no shirt on because he's like living alone in like a desert island. He just hates the world and wants to be left behind. And it's kind of weird to see him like that, isn't it? And you think, oh my goodness. But then when he has a shave and puts his stuff on, it's good old Burt back. So, that's fine. That's fine. Now, I have to say, the opening of the film is kind of reminiscent of these humans hunting humans films, like The Condemned,
Yes.
or anything that's basically the most dangerous game. Humans hunting humans. That's got that kind of vibe. It kind of reminded me a bit of the third Predator film, Predators, as well. There was kind of that vibe. There was well, did you get the impression at the beginning that there was people hunting a human, and then it turned out it wasn't? Did you get that
I
vibe?
did sort of get that impression. Yeah, it definitely had that feel to it. And I think they probably maybe they watched The Most Dangerous Game or something like that.
Yeah. The one it reminded me most, there's a film called The Condemned where they basically force people to in a jungle island to compete for their lives while it's all televised. It's a really fun and quite gory kind of action movie. Vinnie Jones is in it, to give you an idea. That's kind of a lot of fun. From about 10-15 years ago, it kind of reminded me of that. But this one is basically a guy at the head of a big tech company, billionaires doing billionaire stuff. It's like the world is now. He's called Bill, who also his passion is big game hunting, and he runs a biotech company, and
I really like this guy. Like, let's see, he's played by Richard
right,
Lee. And man, he just had such a believable, rich white guy smugness to him, but in almost kind of a southern way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen Richard Brake in a lot of things, and you know what? Knowing Richard Brake is in a movie makes me really happy. He first became obvious to me. In fact, you know what? He was Joe Chill in Batman Begins, the man who kills Bruce Wayne's parents.
Yeah.
Joe
Chill.
Wow. But I'd forgotten he was in that. But he really surfaced for me as like someone to watch and enjoy was in the Doom movie, which I know a lot of people don't like, but I quite like it. The one with The Rock and Carl Urban. And he's called Corporal Dean Portman in that. And he's a creepy, skinny, weird dude who's got a Jack Nicholson vibe. It's got a real Jack Nicholson vibe. It was really, and he's been in all sorts of other things too. But I really liked him. The last time I saw him, something I really liked him in was Mandy, which I think is a masterpiece. He was the chemist in Mandy. He was making the weird psychedelic drugs for the weird demon biker guys in Mandy.
Oh yes, you're right.
It was in that, and again, his presence, he's got a lot of charisma. It's got a lot, and I don't think you see him smile much. It was really interesting to see him give a completely different type of performance to what I'm used to. And in fact, he's in a 2022 horror film I'll be watching sometime real soon called Barbarian. I don't know what he's like in it. I do not a clue, but I'm looking forward to seeing him again in that. And it was also in the Monsters remake thing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he was in that.
That's one thing I want to watch too.
I don't know what he was, but apparently he's referenced as Orlok, which sounds very Nosferatu.
Oh, cool.
Like to me, but we'll see. I don't know. Until I watch the Monsters, I won't know. But yeah, he was good in this as Bill, the weird billionaire, basically who's been bioengineering graboids to be more intelligent because he wants a tougher hunt, which sounds mental.
Yeah. And because he's taking all these Silicon Valley people out to, on a hunt essentially. And I don't think they really know what they're getting. In fact, they really don't know none of them know what they're getting into. They're
getting into a super testosterone-driven hunt. While they think they're kind of, I don't know. I want to say pasty white guys, but they're not all white. That isn't the case. But they're nerdy types who want to go the excitement of a big hunt. But they really are in over their heads here. They've paid him lots and lots of money to go on this hunt. They've signed waivers, so if anything happens to them, he's not responsible. So they're really asking for it, frankly.
Are they ever?
Yeah. So and they're doing it. He's got his own little island, which is a natural containment for these graboids. So he says. In addition to that, we meet, but Burt's in this one, but Travis isn't, is he? He's in jail from the sound of it, because he was trying to import magic mushrooms or something. or bringing in Mushroom Management. So we don't see that. I think maybe Jamie Kennedy wasn't available or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I actually tried to find out like why he wasn't in it, and I couldn't find anything specifically. But
Nah,
it would have been nice to see him come back because he was in the 2 previous films.
yeah, and
But
it was fun. He was
still,
developing. You know,
oh, sorry, say again.
he was developing as a character.
He was, yeah. I kind of felt like, okay, he's going to be the guy to sort of maybe take over this franchise a little bit, but maybe not.
Maybe not. But we do meet, and we've not met this character before, his mother, who is called Jazz. She is played by, I think, an English or Irish actress called Caroline Langrish.
Oh, wow. I never would have known.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I kind of recognised her. Who she's the Doctor too, who's working on research. Something to do with seismic vibrations, right? It just happens that everyone's involved in graboidy kind of stuff. But she's also got an assistant or a colleague called Jimmy, who's played by John Heder. John Heder from Napoleon Dynamite is probably what he's most famous for.
Yeah, he's
like a bit of a nerdy guy, but you know what? I really like this character.
I do too. I mean, he definitely seems like someone I would vibe with, or want to watch a movie with, have a drink.
What I liked about this is he was a nerdy type and scientisty type, but the usual cliches or stereotypes of that didn't apply to him. For example, the usual thing is a nerd type. They're not very capable. They're often physical cowards. Not always, but they're frightened. He wasn't any of that, was he? He just did not care. He just went for stuff. He figured stuff out. He read books on survivalism and sort of he impressed Burt, which takes a lot doing because he had come up with some. There was one point they were kind of. Well, they tied up or something, and he just happened to use basically kind of razor wire with shoelaces or something like that.
Yeah,
we could cut through things, and Burt was well impressed.
Oh yeah,
and he found that out.
If you can impress Grandpa Burt, then you've done something really right.
Now Burt's, he's a tough old dude in this, but he's not as grumpy and shouty as he was in the 6th one, was he? He's a bit more mellow. I think maybe because he gets impressed early on, so he doesn't feel the need to shout at people and try and, you got balls and stuff. Didn't need to do any of that with Jimmy because Jimmy was already there. It was kind of interesting, right? So anyway, they find out that this idiot billionaire, played by Richard Brake, has been genetically modifying graboids to make them better hunting. Now, I was hoping when this first started that Bill would turn out to be like a recurring character because he was so strong. It doesn't quite work out that way, does it? But such a good, strong. Richard Brake was really good in this role.
I agree.
But he kind of went crazy and he couldn't, he was the bad guy.
He goes off screen a little faster than I would like. I know they had to get to an ending, of course, but I feel like when he is not on screen anymore, a lot of the menace of that film is kind of lost. And of course, the focus should be the graboids, right? But at the same time, he really does drive something special in this film. I think he makes it. He's one of the reasons that I think it's a lot better than the previous film, to be honest.
Yeah, and they aren't quite antagonists for a bit of the film, although they're kind of not working together, but they're like not getting in each other's way for parts of the film. And it looked like they were going to all have to work together at some point, but it doesn't quite work out like that. Bill also has on his team this expert female hunter, doesn't he, called Anna?
Oh yeah, she's a badass.
And in fact, there's a weird scene that right at the beginning where one of the billionaires, they have a bet that she could shoot an apple off his head while not looking.
Indeed.
For I don't know, 750,000 or something stupid. And this guy says, yeah. And I was like, why would you do that?
So stupid, right?
Yeah, it's so stupid, and that happens. That happens.
I mean, this sounds like what rich people with too much money would probably do, though. I could see it happening.
In many ways, it reminded me a little of The Hunt, the
Indeed.
awesome one we reviewed. The sort of pasty hunter dudes in that, but instead of being like milk toast middle class people. It was like these billionaires. So it was kind of fun. And I have to say, the quotes came thick and the quotable dialogue came thick and fast in this film too, which really helps. I'll give. Let me think of one. Well, actually, it'll come to me as we go through it. There's one point, Burt gets asked an obvious question. He says, "Does a bear shit in the woods and wipe its ass with a white rabbit?"
Oh,
that go on a t-shirt. That go on a t-shirt.
Absolutely, it made me laugh so hard. Like all these quotes were just really. I don't know if if they came up with them on the fly or if it was in the script, but I loved it, man. Like I really thought they had the the writing down here.
It was fun. It was definitely fun. They put a nice bit of sheen on some of this dialogue, and it totally worked. So Jimmy has to go. Basically, Jazz says to Jimmy, "You've got to go and find Burt Gummer. He's the best in the business for cutting graboids." He finds Burt on this desert island, eating grubs, basically living off the land. Just hates society. He had some argument about taxes and wanted to be off grid or something. He hates anyone trying to track him or any of that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah, they wanted to install like a sewer, I think, basically beneath, I guess, his compound kind of thing.
It said they wanted me to get a permit. They get a permit, they're tracking you. That's it.
Yeah.
So because of one permit he was required, he left civilization, basically.
It's perfect for Burt. No doubt.
Yeah, definitely. And he sort of says, "Yeah, we got the it's graboids." He goes, "I'm not hunting graboids anymore. I've done my time. I'm not doing that." But then Jimmy gives him a pep talk about, you are the man to fight graboids. You're the only man in existence who can fight them. So that's your destiny. And he kind of there. But then when he finds out Jazz is there, he thinks because of their history, and he's still a bit mad at her for not telling him about Travis earlier.
Yeah, they had a kid, what was it, like 40 years ago, and then he finds out about it like 2 movies ago, and so I thought it was kind of interesting that they did bring this character in, because I didn't think we'd ever see her, to be perfectly honest. But it was kind of cool.
So Burt rocks up and he finds out they've got no guns.
Oh, that's his worst nightmare, Mark.
But there's a World War II bunker, and he finds some machetes, a couple of flamethrowers, and some dynamite. And then at that point, Bill turns up. Now, I thought they were going to crew up or something, but Bill's basically trying to scare him away. And you can't scare Burt. It's just that's just not going to happen.
No, absolutely not.
And it's all it's very Jurassic Park, how Jeff Goldblum,
good comparison.
Nice. But then the roaring and the screaming, it's basically that, isn't it? It's basically that.
What did you think of the graboid effects in this?
I liked them. I thought they were all right. There was a few shonky ones, but mostly I was pretty okay with them. I think I got used to the CG not being top shelf, and it was fine.
Yeah.
What did you think?
No, I was the same. I think it was better than the previous film, and maybe that's, I don't know. I thought, maybe it has something to do with the environment, because they were able to make it.
Helps.
Yeah, I think it did. I think it really did. They were able to make parts dark when it needed to be, and kind of use more cover. Whereas, when they're trying to do ice, like in the previous movie, it's just really more noticeable. Yeah.
In fact, there were some shots where it was terrific, actually. I have to say, there were some really good shots. I also liked, they didn't mind referencing stuff. There was one point they're saying, the Shriekers, because Burt's going through the life cycle, which apparently no one else still knows. Only Burt seems to know that graboids lay eggs, which turn into Shriekers, which will then turn into arse blasters. And if they turn into arse blasters, they can maybe escape, which is nonsense. They can't fly that far, but... that's what he's worried about. And the Shriekers have been improved by whatever the genetic, so they can basically use their Shriekers like a weapon almost, can't they? So when they scream, people are like knocked back and deafened, or it's obviously affecting people.
I thought that was really kind of neat, actually, because they've always had the scream, but now it's mega enhanced. So
yeah. The screens are sort of sonic weapons, really, and basically Bert's party starts getting knocked off one by one. Anna finally calls it a day. She says, "I'm not involved in this," and decides she's going to leave. And then as she's leaving, Bill's like, "That gun's the property of the biotech company," which is a dick move. So she gives him a gun. So she has to go out with a bow and arrow. Basically.
Yeah, I was like, well, at least she still has that because we know she's very capable after shooting an apple off the guy's head.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be more badass stuff with her actually, but not really. It was really Bert and Jimmy, really mostly, wasn't it?
Yeah, more than anyone. I'm trying to remember the other girl. She's also a badass. She's Hispanic.
Yeah, Freddie.
Yes, indeed. I thought she would get a little more time too. Not that they don't do some badass things, but I guess just limited screen time and also obviously limited budget for these films too, because this is direct to video or video on demand, I guess as you would say nowadays.
Yeah, but he tries to anyway. Bill tries to scare off Bert. Bert won't have any of it, but then Bill gets them all tied up, and that's how they escape because Jimmy.
He thought ahead.
He basically learned. But when Bert turned up, he had no clothes, so he gave him some boots. But the boots have got the sort of paracord, is what they call it, isn't it? So that impresses Bert no end. Meanwhile, Bert Hunt is going a bit south because everyone's dying pretty much. And in fact, there's one guy left, the guy who got his apple shot off his head, and he's saying, "I didn't sign up for this." He goes, "Don't you want to feel alive?" and all this nonsense.
That scene was great with him bathing in the river, right? He was just haunting there. I mean, I was like, okay, this guy, he means business,
Yeah, and I wish he'd stayed around, but unfortunately, he doesn't make it to the end.
Yeah, he doesn't. That's kind of my big gripe, as I said earlier. I think
I really liked him. Really
I did
liked.
too. Yeah, he gets taken out, and I kind of wanted to see Bert take him out too, to be perfectly honest, but we don't really get that.
Yeah. Now, basically, a number of Shriekers die. At one point, Bert and Jimmy turn up with their flamethrowers and sort of kind of rescue them a bit, but it's not quite there because there's still. Is it just one graboid gets left in the end? One big bugger.
Yeah, it's like the queen, I guess, of all graboids, right?
Yeah, and they're basically trying to lure it to this place where they've put a load of spikes and dynamite out. So basically, they want to spike it and blow it up, right? But
of course, yeah.
Treat it. And we have to say, Bill gets taken out, doesn't he? Eventually,
indeed.
Yeah, some of the CG there was a little poor, but it was a kind of icky, Lovecraftian almost, because the mouth parts were different. They were more like alien-esque.
Yeah,
I can't really describe it.
I like the design.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, it was CG, but it looked all right. Well, it didn't great, but it was okay. It was okay.
For a film with this budget, I felt like this was perfectly acceptable. Again, way better than the last film, and better than some of the earlier ones, I think too. So, I really think they did a good job here, considering it was CG. I mean, I know both of us, Mark, we would prefer they didn't use CG, but that's not going to happen in Hollywood today.
No, it does. Yeah, I've watched some late 90s films recently with CG, and man, it's rough.
Yeah.
Oh, it's rough.
Those are hard to go back to.
Yeah, they are. They do not age well. So Bert and Jimmy between them are taking out Shriekers and stuff left, right, centre. At one point, I think Bert's flamethrower gives up, and there's a Shrieker, and he just pulls a knife out and throws a knife, gets him with a knife, and he says, "Who needs a gun when you got Pennsylvania steel?" That's another T-shirt one.
Yes, absolutely.
So there's that. And then near the end, they kind of distribute what weapons they've got, and there's a chainsaw, so Jimmy has that, and they're talking about they've got to do it together. At one point, they realise they've got to lure the Queen, and they start arguing about it, and he says, What is it? He goes, I'm experienced. I'm older. No, I'm wiser.
Oh, I'm
And
wiser. Yeah.
keeps going backwards and forward. And in the end, Jimmy says, I'm younger. And Bert's like, yeah, you got me there. So they
Yeah.
say, yeah, they're going to do it together. And Jimmy's got a chainsaw and he says, right, we're going to go Rambo. And he goes, you can go Rambo. I got a chainsaw. I'm going Evil Dead. This is
Great
fun.
lines.
And again, they're laying waste to Shriekers there. I'm sorry, I'm keeping jumping them backwards and forwards. I keep forgetting which bits happen in which bits.
Oh, me too.
That's not to say the film's incoherent. It's totally coherent. It's my memory that's incoherent.
Oh man, mine.
Frankly.
Mine too. But and I just watched it last night. But
Yeah.
it's very good. I mean, it's well made. It's pretty well paced. I think.
Oh
for
yeah,
the most part,
excellent pace. Really good pacing.
very
I'd
punchy.
say.
Very
Yes.
punchy.
It was just enjoyable from beginning to end. It was a real fun ride. I'd say it was. I really liked it all round.
Yeah, I was expecting far more of a sci-fi original on this, and this was like more like a monster, creature feature than I had imagined it would be. So I was very pleasantly surprised with this.
And it was. I can't remember if we were talking on air or off air. We were saying, yeah, it wouldn't be fun if there was like Graboids versus Godzilla. At one point, actually, like, this Graboids like Godzilla.
Yes, a number of Godzilla references, more than once.
Yeah. There was other one of the other. They referenced Predator at one point. Talk about.
Oh yeah.
Jimmy says, "Whoa, it's like Predator," and Bert's like, "This isn't movies. This is real life," which made me laugh. Too. That was very fun.
Oh yeah, you got the Predator vision back in this too, which was pretty neat. It's not original, but it's cool to see it.
Yeah, indeed. And then at the end, Jimmy and Bert are running together to get the Queen to follow them. But right at the last minute, Bert pushes Jimmy to one side, doesn't he? And gets swallowed by the Queen, who then falls onto the spikes. They blow the thing. They blow to hell. They blow the graboid to hell, don't we?
Oh man, big time.
Bert hasn't made it, so it was kind of sad. There's a sad scene at the end where they lay out a memorial with his cap and his glasses, his signature stuff, and then the film ends and there's a montage of Bert through the various films, just clips with Bert.
I love the montage too.
Really?
I thought that was great.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this one. I really did.
Yeah, me too. Even with the sad ending, did you feel like it was a proper send off for Bert?
Yeah, but I can see there'd be a way to get him back, which is he crawl out of the guts. And, at some point,
they could figure out a way.
That. Yeah.
I mean, my thing was, I was like, okay, it swallowed him. And then I'm thinking, all right, well, Bert's got out before, and then it hits like the spikes and the explosives, and I was like, oh God, Bert did not make it. Like it became very apparent then. So they'd have to come up with a pretty good way. I'm sure they could. He hung onto the cliff or something.
He's in the middle of a massive worm. All right, it got blown up and spiked, but if the spikes didn't get him, you could survive the explosion because you're protected by this worm thing.
You're right.
Possible, but they didn't go with that. That was the end of Bert, and that's how they framed it. And there was not even a hint he might not be dead in any way, was there? There's sometimes happens in these things. So yes, that was the movie, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
really
me too. Me too. And I do think that it was kind of a nice end for the character Bert. Michael Gross, he was. I don't know how old he was when this was made, but he, already in his 70s. And I got to say, I mean, he was still moving pretty darn good. Like he's not as physical as he had been in some of the previous movies, but still the stuff he does is really good. Like I enjoyed watching him like run over to that horse, and that
was a bit with a horse. He was running around on a horse and everything.
Yeah, kind of a callback to the Western one. I thought, I was like, that's really nice that they did that. Just little nice moments like that make the difference in this film and kind of pay homage to the series as a whole. So, I mean, when he got on the horse, that whole scene, and he said something like, "Ah, man, fate's a bitch" or something like that. And
Destiny's a bitch. There's another T-shirt.
yes,
Oh, yeah,
yes.
yeah.
But at that point, I was like, "Oh gosh, are they going to kill Burt?" You know.
Yeah, yeah.
And unfortunately, I mean, he saves his friend, but he doesn't make it. So
Yeah.
it's a sad end, but man, it's a fun ride, a really fun ride.
Yeah, really solid.
Absolutely. Mark, do you want to get into ratings here?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'd give this film you know what, Letterboxd I'd give it a 7, but you know what, I'm gonna say an 8. 8 out of 10 for me.
Nice. I think that may be the highest rating. Is it? No, I think we gave the first one an 8
Tremors
too.
was 8 as well.
Yeah. I'm right with you there. I think I would give it like a 7.5. Like I think it's almost.
Yeah, that sounds about right actually. 7.5
It's
sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean it's really good. I was actually surprised doing research for this because Mark critics did not agree with us at the time this came out at all.
What do they know? They just illustrates, critics for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a bit of a mix, wasn't there? But a lot of them didn't like it.
Yeah, even Bloody Disgusting, they rated it pretty low. I think it was like a 2 out of 5 or something like that.
Oh, that is wrong. That
and
is just wrong. I don't get it.
I would very much disagree with a lot of these reviews. And I don't know, maybe you have to be a fan of the franchise as a whole. I don't know. Maybe these guys came into it just watching this film, but I thought this was a very well made movie, especially direct to video movie. You have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I thought it was a great movie. I do not agree with anything less than 3 out of 5 at all.
Yeah,
I would say, and I think it's better than that. I
do too.
I don't understand these reviews. I feel like I was watching a different film from them. Maybe I don't know. It's weird,
too, man. And I mean, I know another thing. The pandemic was going on when this came out, so maybe that had an effect on the scores. I don't know, but just to all the people who were on the fence about seeing this, I would say, yeah, man, you really need to check this one out.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Take our word for it.
Yeah. Shall we rank the films now?
Yeah, I think we should. Do you want to go first, Mark, or you want me to go first?
Yeah, I'm happy to go first.
Okay.
I think last time I sort of said my ranking was 1, 4, and then it was the order of the films. So it's 1, 4, 2, 3, 5, 6. Right?
Yeah.
I really like the Western. The Western one was my favourite straight after the original, but now this tops that. So I'd say Tremors. The first Tremors is the best, but this is my second favourite Tremors movie. Then it's Back to Perfection, the Western one, and then it's the remainder in the order they were made. So my order would be, let's get this right: 1, 7, 4, 2, 3, 5, 6. So 6 at the bottom, 1 at the top. That's mine.
Man, very, very high praise for this one then. And let me make sure I've got I got a list here too. I want to make sure I get this right because I almost left out the number here for the new one. I just had Shrieker Island, but my order is slightly different, but it's pretty close. So I have Tremors 1 as well, and then I have Tremors 4, 2 for second, and then Tremors 2 Aftershock for 3. For number 4, Tremors 7, which is this one.
This one, yeah.
Yep. And then 5, Tremors 3. Number 6, Tremors 5, Bloodlines. And number 7, A Cold Day in Hell, which was Tremors 6.
Yeah, so, 6 was the worst, but it was still fun. But,
yeah, I didn't think it was like an abomination or anything either.
Yeah.
I've seen far worse.
Yeah. So we both like this one. So really, those early ones and the Western one and this one are the best Tremors movies, frankly. But I'm really impressed they came up with such a good film. I wasn't expecting it. Because when I watched 6, I thought, oh man, Shrieker Island's going to be rough. But I've always heard all the Tremors films are pretty good. So I had some hope. And I was not let down at all. Really delivered. As well.
Yeah. Just as a franchise overall, I mean, I enjoyed it. I love the first one. Absolutely think that's for me, that's still the best one. And you have number one at number one, right? So I think we both agree that's probably the best one, right?
Yes, we do. In fact, I'll be covering The Good, Bad, and the Odd in a few weeks.
Oh, excellent.
Discussing it with Sam because I felt like I want to watch it again and I want to get Sam's view on it. I know he's seen it, but it's been a long time, so I want to get his view. But that won't be for another 3 or 4 weeks. Though.
Yeah, we'll look forward to that.
So
The Good, the Bad, the Odd.com, right?
Yeah, The Good, the Bad, and the Odd.com. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, so check that out as well. I look forward to that discussion with you both as well. But yeah, a really good franchise. And what do you think the future is for the franchise going forward, Mark?
I don't know. Without Burt Gummer, it's they're gonna have to be creative. But actually, you know what? I really like John Heder as Jimmy, so I could kind of see something coming from that. In fact, I think I prefer Jimmy to Travis. Travis was a bit more of a knucklehead and goofy, but Jimmy, I just liked his badass scientist vibe. I really
did too.
like that. Yeah, it made me laugh.
Who'd have thought Napoleon Dynamite would end up in monster movies? But
no, I liked it a lot. So good show. Good show.
Yes, I mean, I think this is probably it for Michael Gross, unless he does like a flashback or something like that. I mean, he mentions in an interview, he says, I'm going to be 75 years old when I'm doing this, and he hopes and he prays that he's still around, but he doesn't know, obviously.
No. And he's got to come back from the dead as well. So that's
indeed, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, another way forward is I quite like the character who was Val's daughter in number 6, though the film wasn't great. That character was kind of interesting, and she was in it, wanted to be a monster hunter too. So there is possibilities around those two, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, they could still possibly bring back, Travis as well. And
wherever graboids turn up, any of these characters could turn up, right?
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Exactly. So I think there's still life in the franchise. I don't know if it's just one more film. There's definitely fans that want to see more Tremors, and we haven't even watched the TV series, so there are standalone fans of that as well. So it's a huge fan base. I didn't realize until we started covering this. I think I said this last show too. I didn't realize how big Tremors was.
Yeah,
like it's a whole thing, man. It's almost like a subgenre of horror, which I mean, I guess we could say like monster films, right? But it's definitely its own little niche.
Well, it's like any franchise that goes long enough, it becomes its own thing, like Halloween or Hellraiser or Jason or Michael. There's I would nearly say Michael Myers, but I said Halloween already. Or Freddy. They do become that, or Chucky. They do become their own thing, and kind of they tend to get broader and goofier. But then at some point it comes back. There's a bit of not a reboot, but a retake on a harsher edge. We saw it in the Freddy franchise, for example. We saw it in Scream. The most recent Scream, way harder on the horror front than. So it might be, if there's another one, it might be a proper scary monster thing, or it might be more fun. I like the fun personally, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's the great thing about these movies. Tremors, I mean, they maintain the fun while keeping those monster elements, the kind of like the old 1950s style. So it's got your comedy, it's got a little bit of everything. So man, as a whole, I would say, I certainly think people should check out the franchise. I know here in the US, a lot of them, if not all of them, are on the Peacock app, which is NBC Universal's app. How about in the UK, Mark? Do you know specifically where the best place is to find these?
No, not a clue. I've seen box sets of them, but in terms of streaming, I really don't know.
Yeah,
actually,
probably Amazon.
Yeah, on Netflix,
something like that.
Prime is often a source of quite a lot of films you can't get anywhere else, but you can never be sure until you look into it. There's no rhyme or reason to any of it. It's who's bought what rights, really.
That's why I still like my physical media.
Me too. Me too.
Oh man,
I think this one though, number 7, might be a purchase for me. I don't particularly want the full set.
Yeah.
So you know what? There's probably enough in there to make it worthwhile because I really like 1, 2, 4, and 7 in particular. Though I like them all. 6 is the weakest, but I still don't mind it. You know. So maybe at some point I might just buy the box set.
Yeah, I see Arrow Video has done, I don't know if it's a set here, but they do have some Tremors stuff out, and Arrow seems to do a really good job. Like if you want basically the best edition of anything, it's either that or Scream Factory, and I don't think Scream Factory has the rights to them because it's all
Yeah.
Universal. So, but yeah, I wouldn't mind owning these. I would definitely love to own, probably the first one, The Legend Begins, and Aftershock. And I wouldn't mind owning Shrieker Island as well. So at that point, it's like, I might as well get the set,
Yeah, once you've got more than 50%, you might as well just get the set.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's probably cheaper, frankly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mark, shall we close out here?
Yeah, certainly. Go ahead. I'll just say my goodbyes at the end.
Sounds good. Well, we just want to thank everybody for listening to the United Nations of Horror. We'll be back very soon. I'm Jason.
And I'm Mark.
And we'll see you next time right here on the United Nations of Horror.